Beautiful! Cinderella built up all her courage and asked her stepmother, "Can I come to the ball too, please?" "Who, you?" "Yes, well, it says that all the young girls can come."
Is this your dress for the ball? The prince is looking for a wife, not for a maid, my dear.
Come on, girls, let's not be late for the ball. And you make sure that you've finished all the chores before you go to bed. Her stepmother and her stepsisters made their way to the castle. And all on her own at home, Cinderella began to cry.
Why can't I go to the castle too? If my parents were here, none of this would have happened.
Right at that moment, a very bright light appeared. At first, Cinderella did not understand what it was. She was staring at the light. Then suddenly, a beautiful fairy appeared in the middle of the light. "My beautiful Cinderella, don't cry. You too will go to the ball at the castle." Cinderella could not believe her eyes. She asked in shock,
Can I go? Just look at me.
"Do not worry. I'm here to help you. Now bring me a pumpkin and 7 mice." Cinderella could not understand why she wanted these things, but still she did as she was told. First, she went to the kitchen and grabbed a big pumpkin. Then she went to the attic, got her mice friends, and went down again. With her magic wand, the fairy turned the pumpkin into a beautiful horse carriage. Then she turned to the mice. One of them turned into the driver, and the other 6 of them turned into beautiful white horses. Amazed as she was, Cinderella was looking at the horse carriage. The fairy turned to her. When she touched her with the magic wand, Cinderella's old dress turned into a beautiful ball gown. And the slippers on her feet turned into beautiful glass shoes.
I look like a princess.
Now it is time to go to the ball, but don't forget, you must be home when the clock strikes 12, because by then everything will turn back to what they were. Cinderella listened to the fairy very carefully. Then she hopped on her carriage and started to ride towards the castle. Her mesmerizing carriage stopped in front of the castle. When Cinderella entered through the grand doors to the ballroom, all the eyes were on her. She looked so beautiful and elegant. Her stepmother and even her stepsisters could not stop looking at this beautiful lady. They, of course, could not recognize her. Suddenly, the prince appeared on the stairs. Cinderella really stood out amongst all the young women at the ball. The prince fell in love with the first sight of this beautiful young woman. With everyone watching curiously, he began walking down the stairs and slowly approached her. The stepsisters were very excited because the prince was coming towards them.
Ah, he's coming to me. Now he's coming to me.
But the prince passed on by and stopped in front of Cinderella.
Most beautiful young lady, would you please allow this dance to me?
Cinderella nodded politely. The prince and Cinderella began to dance amongst the curious looks of all the invitees. Cinderella was so captivated by the music and the dance, she felt like as if she and the prince were the only ones in the ballroom. They danced non-stop all night long. Of course, Cinderella could not feel how time had passed. At some point, the big clock caught her eye. It was almost midnight. Right at that moment, Cinderella remembered the fairy's warning. You must be home when the clock strikes 12, because by then everything will turn back to what they were. With a panic, Cinderella began to run and left the prince behind. When she was running down the stairs of the castle, she dropped one of her shoes, but she did not even have time to go back and collect it. When she ran further, the clock struck midnight and everything turned back to what they were before. When the prince went out after her, he spotted her shoe on the stairs.
Find the owner of this shoe, even if you have to get all the girls in the kingdom to try it. Just find her.
Cinderella came home breathless and went straight up to the attic. She started thinking about the night she had with the prince. She knew she had no chance, but still, she had fallen in love with him. It was almost impossible for the prince to find her, and even if he did, he would never recognize her. The prince's men went door to every house in the kingdom and looked for the young girl who owned this shoe. But the shoe did not fit any of these girls. In the end, the prince's men came by Cinderella's house. Cinderella was very happy to see the king's carriage in front of the house. Right when she was about to leave her room, her stepmother appeared at the door.
And where do you think you are going? You want to try the shoe too?
With a sarcastic laugh, the stepmother locked the door to the attic.
No! Please stop! Open the door, please!
How pathetic. What would the prince have in common with you?
The men first let the old skinny sister try the shoe, but it was too small for her feet.
Look how beautifully it fit my foot.
Then the younger chubby sister tried the shoe, but her chubby foot did not even get in the shoe.
Maybe if we tried it on my other foot?
Whatever they did, it just would not work. Finally, Cinderella's last try was to run to the window, but it was too high. So she began crying. Seeing her crying, her mice friends came next to her.
My stepmom locked me in. She must have the key.
One of the mice slipped underneath the door and ran downstairs. The stepmother was at the door with the prince's men.
Why don't you come tomorrow? Today they are a little tired. Their feet must be swollen.
The mouse jumped on the stepmother's skirt and, snatching the keys out of her pocket, ran upstairs. He slipped the keys under the door. Cinderella was very happy when she saw the key. Opening the door, she ran down as fast as she could.
How did you get out?
Please stop, don't go. I want to try the shoe too.
The stepmother and her two daughters started to laugh hysterically.
Please shush. It is the prince's orders that every girl in the kingdom must try the shoe.
When Cinderella tried the shoe on, everybody was in shock because it fitted her perfectly.
Young lady, are you the owner of this shoe?
Cinderella nodded to confirm.
Please come to the palace with us.
Cinderella went to the castle with the prince's men, and they took her in front of the prince. Right when he looked in her eyes, the prince knew it was her who danced with him that night. He held her hands.
I finally found you, my princess. Would you marry me?
With teary eyes from happiness, she accepted the prince's offer. They got married and lived happily ever after.